Before you conquer the world, you've got to conquer your mind. The real battle isn't out there, it's inside. Most people never lose to life. They lose to the voice that whispers, "You can't." That voice kills dreams before failure ever can. But that voice isn't truth, it's fear wearing logic's mask. Once you learn to command your thoughts instead of obeying them, you unlock freedom and power. Your mind will grow whatever you feed it, doubt or belief, fear or faith. Control your thoughts, or they'll control you. The moment you take charge of your mindset, you become unstoppable. Before anything changes in your life, your mindset has to change first. That's the root of everything. You can't build strength, you can't build success, you can't build peace until you build control over the one thing that shapes it all, your mind. Every day when you wake up, there's a battle happening inside your head. One voice is telling you to go after what you want, to grind, to push, to rise. The other one is telling you to take it easy, to slow down, to settle for less because comfort feels safer. That battle doesn't stop when you get a promotion, when you hit a goal, or when people start clapping for you. That battle never ends. The only difference between the ones who stay stuck and the ones who rise is that the second group learned how to win the war within. You can't let your thoughts run wild and expect peace to follow. You can't let negativity, doubt, or fear camp out in your head, rent-free, and think your life will still move forward. Every dream begins in the mind. Every failure does too. If your mind is weak, everything else will be weak. If your mind is strong, it doesn't matter what's around you, because you'll always find a way to stand tall. That's why mastering your mindset isn't optional, it's the foundation. The mind controls how you see everything. Two people can live the same story, face the same pain, walk through the same storm, and one comes out broken while the other comes out built. The difference isn't in what they went through, it's in how they thought through it. You've got to start catching those thoughts that are holding you hostage. You've got to recognize when your mind starts whispering, "You can't," and interrupt it before it builds momentum. Most people let that voice win before they even take a step. They give up because their thoughts told them the road was too hard. But if you ever stop and question that voice, if you ever pause and say, "Wait, who said that?" you'll start to realize how many of your limits were self-imposed. The mind will try to protect you from pain, but sometimes that protection is the prison. You've got to be willing to break through the wall of fear, through the noise of doubt, through the excuses your mind throws at you. Because on the other side of that battle is your real strength. The most dangerous thing about a weak mindset is that it doesn't just kill motivation, it steals identity. When you keep letting the negative thoughts run your day, you stop believing in your own power. You start to live as a smaller version of yourself, playing safe, second-guessing everything, waiting for permission. But when you take control of your thoughts, you stop asking for permission. You start creating your own opportunities. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. That's what building an unstoppable mind looks like. It's deciding that no matter what happens, you'll be the one in charge of your response. And this isn't something that happens overnight. You can't wake up one morning and just say, "Okay, my mindset is strong now." No, it's built daily, through discipline, through awareness, through small wins stacked on top of each other. Every time you resist the temptation to quit, you build strength. Every time you push through fear, you build confidence. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you rewrite your programming. The mind is like a muscle. It only grows when it's challenged. You have to train it, feed it, and protect it. Because if you don't train your mind, the world will do it for you. And the world doesn't care about your peace, your goals, or your purpose. It will fill you with distractions, comparisons, and noise until you forget who you are. So before you chase the dream, before you look for validation, before you try to conquer anything outside of you, conquer yourself first. Learn to sit with your thoughts, to redirect them, to command them instead of obeying them. Because when your mind is right, no storm can shake you, no failure can break you, and no challenge can stop you. That's how real strength is built, from the inside out. Belief is the spark that ignites everything. Without belief, nothing begins, nothing grows, nothing lasts. Every champion, every visionary, every person who rose from the bottom to the top had one thing in common. They believed when no one else did. They believed when the evidence said otherwise. They believed when the odds screamed impossible. Because belief isn't about seeing proof first. It's about deciding what's true before the world agrees with you. When your mind starts to doubt, belief steps in and says, I've already decided who I am. That's what separates those who try from those who transform. Too many people let the world define their ceiling because they never learned to define it for themselves. They let other people's fear become their logic. They let other people's limits become their reality. You'll hear people say, be realistic, but what they really mean is, don't believe too much. And that's the trap. Because once you start shrinking your dreams to fit someone else's comfort zone, you've already surrendered your power. Belief doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for validation. It moves like it knows the outcome, even when the path is still dark. You have to train your mind to believe in possibilities greater than your circumstances. Because if you can't see it internally, you'll never manifest it externally. When you start believing in yourself, truly believing, everything changes, not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because your perception does. The obstacles don't shrink, but your strength grows. The voices of doubt don't disappear, but they lose their power. You start to realize that belief is like armor. It doesn't stop the hits, but it keeps you standing after everyone. Belief builds resilience, and resilience builds results. Every time you choose belief over fear, you strengthen that mental muscle. Every time you take one more step when everything says stop, you tell your subconscious, I'm not giving in. And that programming rewires who you are. The thing about belief is, it's not a feeling, it's a decision. Feelings change with the weather. Some days you wake up ready to take over the world, and other days you barely want to move. But belief doesn't depend on the mood of the moment. It's steady, it's anchored. It's a voice that says, even when I don't feel strong, I'm still capable. When you build your life on belief instead of emotion, you stop being a victim of circumstance. You start controlling your story. People who operate from belief don't need external motivation. They are internally driven. They don't need applause. Their conviction is their fuel. Belief doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to be defined by it. The greatest innovators, athletes, and leaders in history all faced rejection, failure, and humiliation. The difference was that they never let those experiences rewrite their belief. They took every setback as feedback, every failure as fuel. When they fell, they got up faster because their belief wasn't in perfection. It was in persistence. Belief turns pain into purpose. It turns confusion into clarity. It turns I can't into I will. The people who seem unstoppable aren't fearless. They just choose belief every single time fear knocks on the door. But here's the truth. Belief isn't built by repeating affirmations once a day. It's built by action. Every time you follow through on your word, your belief grows stronger. Every time you do what you said you would do, even when it's hard, you cast another vote for confidence. The mind learns from consistency. When your actions align with your vision, your belief system hardens like steel. But when you keep breaking promises to yourself, you weaken that foundation. That's why self-discipline and belief are tied together. You can't have one without the other. At the end of the day, belief is what separates dreamers from doers. It's what keeps you moving when logic says quit. It's the quiet fire that burns when no one's watching. When you truly believe in yourself, you stop chasing opportunities. You start creating them. You stop hoping for a break. You become the break. Belief is the beginning of becoming. And once you master it, there's nothing you can't build, no challenge you can't overcome, no mountain you can't move. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your greatness. Motivation will start the engine, but discipline keeps the car moving long after the excitement fades. Every person who has achieved anything remarkable in life didn't rely on feeling good to do the work. They relied on discipline. Because the truth is, your feelings will lie to you. They'll tell you to sleep in when it's time to rise. They'll tell you to quit when things get tough. They'll convince you that you can start tomorrow. But discipline doesn't negotiate. Discipline says we move regardless. When the world is sleeping, discipline is grinding. When everyone else is making excuses, discipline is making progress. That's why discipline is the ultimate equalizer. It doesn't care about your background, your resources, or your circumstances. If you're willing to put in the reps, to show up day after day, you'll win. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not loud. It's built in silence, in the moments no one sees, when it's just you versus you. It's the voice that tells you to keep pushing when the results haven't shown up yet. Most people stop because they mistake slow progress for no progress. But discipline understands that consistency compounds. Every small action, every deliberate choice, every repetition stacks up. It's the bricklayer's mindset. One brick at a time until the wall is unbreakable. The undisciplined chase comfort. The disciplined chase growth. The undisciplined wait for inspiration. The disciplined create it. The difference between those who achieve and those who dream is the discipline to keep showing up. You don't become disciplined overnight. It's trained, not gifted. You build it the same way you build strength. Repetition under resistance. Every time you do something you don't want to do but need to, you're training your willpower. You're telling your body, you don't control me, I control you. Discipline is freedom disguised as restriction. When you live with discipline, you're no longer controlled by impulse. You decide what you eat, when you work, how you think, and how you respond. That's power. Most people are prisoners of their own impulses. They move based on emotion and then wonder why they feel stuck. Discipline breaks those chains. It creates order from chaos. It gives your mind direction and your actions purpose. Discipline isn't about punishment, it's about alignment. It's aligning your daily actions with your long-term vision. If your dream is the destination, discipline is the map that gets you there. Without it, you drift. With it, you direct. Every decision becomes intentional, every effort meaningful. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. You'll slip, you'll fall, but discipline doesn't demand you to never fail. It demands that you never stop getting back up. The disciplined person treats failure as feedback, not as final. They don't wallow in disappointment. They adjust, recalibrate, and keep moving forward. The beauty of discipline is that it works even when you don't feel like it. When your motivation runs out, discipline keeps you grounded. When distractions try to pull you away, discipline keeps you focused. It's the anchor that holds you steady in chaos. Every great athlete, every successful entrepreneur, every visionary you admire, they all mastered the art of discipline. They didn't just wake up and do what they loved. They did what was necessary. And over time, the hard things became habits. There's a moment in every person's life where they must choose between what's easy and what's right. The easy path gives instant pleasure but long-term pain. The disciplined path gives temporary discomfort but lifelong strength. The question is, which one are you building your life on? The disciplined understand that the grind doesn't stop when they feel tired. It stops when they're finished. They treat every day as an opportunity to refine, to sharpen, to elevate. The more disciplined you become, the less you depend on motivation. Because when discipline becomes who you are, success becomes inevitable. The path to an unstoppable mindset is paved with the small, unseen acts of discipline that shape the person you become when no one's watching. Pain is the greatest teacher you'll ever have. It strips away your excuses, exposes your limits, and forces you to decide who you truly are. Everybody wants strength, but nobody wants the struggle that builds it. You can't become unbreakable without being broken a few times. Pain has a purpose. It's not there to destroy you, it's there to develop you. The difference between the weak and the strong isn't that one avoids pain and the other doesn't. It's that the strong learn to use it. When most people feel pain, they run. When the unstoppable feel pain, they lean in. They ask, what is this moment trying to teach me? Because they understand that pain is information. It tells you where the weakness lives, where the growth is hiding, and where your next evolution begins. Every great story of triumph has pain written all over it. The business that finally took off after years of failure. The athlete who trained through injury. The person who rose from heartbreak, betrayal, or loss and turned it into drive. Pain is not the enemy, it's the process. It's the fire that burns away what's soft and leaves behind what's solid. But most people never stay in the fire long enough to see what they're made of. They quit when it hurts, not realizing that the very thing they're running from is what would make them unstoppable. Growth and comfort can't coexist. You have to pick one. If you keep choosing comfort, you'll never taste your full potential. But if you choose growth, you'll have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. The truth is, you can't avoid pain in life, but you can decide what kind it will be. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One builds you, the other breaks you. One gives you pride, the other gives you shame. The pain of discipline is heavy in the moment, but it leaves you stronger. The pain of regret lingers forever, whispering what could have been. You get to decide which pain you'll live with. People who build unstoppable mindsets don't seek a pain-free life. They seek purpose-driven pain. They understand that when it hurts, it means they're expanding. Every time you endure, every time you push through what you thought you couldn't, your threshold for adversity expands. You start realizing pain isn't permanent. It's just pressure molding you into something greater. Pain also clarifies your values. It shows you what truly matters and what doesn't. When you've been broken, betrayed, or beaten down, You stop chasing shallow validation. You start chasing peace, purpose, and power within. Pain teaches humility, compassion, and gratitude. It teaches patience when things don't go your way. It reminds you that control is an illusion, but choice is real. You can't control every challenge that hits you, but you can control how you respond to it. That's the foundation of an unstoppable mindset, knowing that no matter what comes, you will adapt, adjust, and advance. Pain becomes the gym where your resilience is trained. Every rep of suffering adds muscle to your spirit. There's something sacred about pushing through pain because on the other side of it is clarity. You begin to see who you really are. You discover that your limits were never real. They were only mental barriers created by fear. Pain dissolves those illusions. It introduces you to the version of yourself that doesn't quit, doesn't fold, and doesn't back down. That's why the strongest people often have the deepest scars. Those scars aren't signs of weakness. They're proof that they were tested and survived. Every struggle, every heartbreak, every setback has a hidden gift, and it's always the same: wisdom. The more pain you've faced, the more powerful your perspective becomes. The key is to stop avoiding pain and start interpreting it. Every painful moment is feedback from life saying, "You're growing." The same heat that melts wax hardens steel. It's not about the fire, it's about what you're made of. When you start seeing pain as a path, not a punishment, everything changes. You stop fighting the struggle and start using it. You stop breaking under pressure and start building under pressure. Because in the end, pain doesn't just change you, it reveals you. And once you've learned to endure it, to channel it, to rise through it, you become something few ever do: unstoppable. Every single morning, you wake up with two versions of yourself fighting for control: the one that wants to grow and the one that wants to stay comfortable. That's the battle every champion fights daily. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck isn't talent, luck, or intelligence. It's decision. The decision to show up when you don't feel like it, to keep pushing when comfort whispers your name. Discipline is the dividing line between potential and power. People love the idea of greatness, but few are willing to do what greatness demands. You can't build a strong mind if you keep obeying your emotions. Feelings are temporary. Standards are permanent. The moment you start living by feelings, you lose control. But when you live by principles, you take command of your destiny. There's always that voice inside you that says, "Take it easy, do it later, you've done enough." That voice sounds comforting, but it's poison. It steals progress one excuse at a time. You can't listen to it. You have to train your mind to move even when it resists, to take action without negotiation. The unstoppable don't ask, "Do I feel like it?" They ask, "Did I promise myself I would?" Because they understand that consistency beats intensity. It's not about doing it once. It's about doing it again and again until it becomes who you are. A strong mindset isn't built in moments of motivation. It's forged in moments of resistance. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're wiring your brain for victory. Think about the people who dominate their fields: athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders. They all have one thing in common: they've made discipline their identity. They don't rely on willpower. They rely on structure. They've built habits that support who they want to become. You can't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your systems. If you want to be mentally strong, your daily habits must reflect it. Wake up early, control your focus, feed your mind the right thoughts, and take care of your body. Small disciplines done consistently create massive transformation over time. The problem is most people start strong but fade fast. They get inspired for a day but quit when it gets inconvenient. The unstoppable mindset refuses that pattern. It doesn't care about convenience. It's obsessed with commitment. Discipline is the armor of the mind. When you build it, life's hits don't hurt the same way. You stop being reactive. You stop needing the world to go your way. Because you've already made the decision. No matter what happens, you'll do what you said you'd do. That's freedom. Most people think discipline is restriction, but it's the opposite. Discipline gives you control, focus, and direction. Without it, you're a slave to impulses. With it, you become the master of your mind and your moments. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. Every time you fall short but get back up, discipline grows stronger. It's a muscle, and repetition builds it. The more you exercise it, the easier it becomes to push past fear, fatigue, and doubt. And here's the truth. Discipline doesn't just build progress, it builds pride. The kind of pride that can't be bought or faked. When you know you've honored your word, when you've shown up for yourself, that's a confidence no one can take. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's internal power. The kind that shows in how you walk, how you talk, how you carry yourself. Discipline shapes identity, and once it's part of you, you don't even think about quitting. You move differently. You think differently. You live differently. Because you understand that discipline isn't punishment. It's the purest form of self-respect. It's you telling yourself, I'm worth the effort. Every rep, every early morning, every late night, every decision to keep going when others stop. That's what turns ordinary people into unstoppable forces. You can't build an unstoppable mindset if you're surrounded by weak energy. The people around you either pull you forward or pull you down. There's no middle ground. Energy is contagious. Attitudes are contagious. If you spend your time with those who complain, doubt, or make excuses, you will begin to speak, think, and act the same way without even realizing it. That's why environment is everything. You can't expect to develop strength while standing in circles that celebrate weakness. You have to be intentional about who gets access to your space, your energy, your mind. Because when you're fighting for growth, not everyone will understand your mission. Some will laugh at your discipline, question your dreams, and try to talk you out of your grind. But you have to remember, they don't see what you see. They don't feel what you feel. It's your vision, not theirs. Protect it. When you decide to level up, the first thing that changes isn't your results. It's your circle. Growth demands isolation before it brings elevation. Sometimes you have to walk alone so that your mindset can catch up to your goals. That loneliness you feel when you start focusing, when you stop entertaining drama, when you turn down invitations that don't serve your future, that's not rejection, that's transformation. The mind needs space to evolve. You can't hear your inner voice when you're constantly surrounded by noise. You can't grow clarity in chaos. So, when you start feeling distant from people who don't push you higher, understand that it's not arrogance, it's alignment. You're aligning yourself with who you're becoming, not who you were. Strong minds attract strong minds. When you start building discipline, courage, and focus, you'll begin to attract people who speak that same language. They won't drain you. They'll challenge you. They won't make excuses. They'll hold you accountable. That's the power of a growth circle. It's not about having people who agree with you. It's about having people who push you to rise. If everyone around you is comfortable, you're in the wrong room. Surround yourself with those who make you feel uncomfortable in a good way, who make you question whether you're doing enough, who remind you that you've got more in the tank. Because steel sharpens steel, not cotton. You also have to create an internal environment that supports a strong mindset. That means monitoring what you consume, what you watch, what you listen to, what you read. Every piece of information you allow into your mind becomes part of your mental diet. Feed it garbage and you'll think like garbage. Feed it truth, inspiration, and challenge, and you'll begin to operate with power. Be mindful of the energy you invite through your screen and your conversations. Every word you hear either builds or breaks your spirit. Every minute you spend is an investment, either in growth or decay. The question is, what are you investing in? Building a strong mindset means being ruthless about your environment. Not cruel, not cold, just clear. You don't owe anyone access to your peace. You don't owe explanations for protecting your energy. When you're climbing, not everyone can come with you. Some people are meant to be part of your story, not your destiny. The higher you go, the thinner the air gets. It's not a place for everyone, but that's what makes it powerful. Because when you get there, surrounded by those who grind, who focus, who believe like you do, the energy becomes unstoppable. You don't have to fake motivation anymore. It becomes the atmosphere you breathe. And that's when your mind hits another level. That's when you realize that the environment you build is the foundation of the mindset you live by. A strong mindset isn't built by avoiding pain. It's built by facing it head-on and choosing to grow from it. Pain is the greatest teacher you'll ever have if you let it be. Most people run from discomfort. They try to escape challenges. They hide from failure. But what they don't understand is that every struggle carries the seed of strength. The moments that break you are the same moments that build you if you decide not to quit. The difference between people who crumble and people who rise isn't that one had it easier. It's that one chose to see pain as fuel instead of punishment. Pain reveals what's inside you. It strips away the excuses, the ego, the comfort, and forces you to see what you're really made of. Every scar has a story, and every story has a lesson that can strengthen your mindset. When life hits, it doesn't ask for permission. It comes without warning, without mercy, but that's where the warrior mindset is born. Not in calm waters, but in storms. You don't learn resilience when everything goes right. You learn it when you fall apart and still choose to stand. You learn it when you get rejected, when plans fail, when you feel forgotten, but you keep moving. That's mental power. The strongest people aren't the ones who never feel pain. They're the ones who turn that pain into purpose. They don't ask, why me? They ask, what now? They don't waste energy crying over what went wrong. They use that energy to build something better. Every setback is preparation for a comeback if your mind is strong enough to see it that way. You have to train your mind to find meaning in everything. Because pain without purpose is suffering, but pain with purpose is power. When you attach a reason to your struggle, it stops being something that breaks you and becomes something that shapes you. Think about every great achiever who's ever changed the world. They didn't get there because life was kind. They got there because pain refined them. They failed publicly. They were doubted, betrayed, embarrassed. But they took that pain, they took that fire, and they molded it into greatness. You can't fake strength. It's forged in the heat of adversity. When you face pain, you have two choices. You can let it define you, or you can let it develop you. The first choice makes you bitter, the second makes you better. But to make that second choice, you need awareness. You have to catch yourself when your mind starts spiraling into self-pity. You have to interrupt the thought that says, I can't take this, and replace it with, this is my training. Every challenge is training for the next level. Every delay is discipline. Every disappointment is preparation. The question isn't whether you'll feel pain. The question is, what will you do with it? Will you allow it to shrink you or strengthen you? You have to learn to thank your pain. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. That heartbreak that shattered you, it taught you how to love yourself. That failure that humiliated you, it taught you humility and grit. That betrayal, it taught you discernment. The pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The mindset that says, I'll rise no matter what, is the result of surviving what tried to destroy you. And once you realize that, pain loses its power to paralyze you. It becomes your ally, not your enemy. It becomes the proof that you're still in the fight, still breathing, still capable of rising higher. Because the truth is, pain is temporary, but the strength you build from it lasts forever.